Hi everyone, thank you for joining. Does this work? Is it on?
Should I turn it on? Oopsies.
Test. Better? Yeah. Do you hear me okay? Am I yelling at you? No? Okay, cool. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining today. Really excited to be here with Carlo, aka Carl. So, okay, today Carlo.
Carlo
and I will introduce ourselves, and then I'm going to do a quick talk on conscious growth, and then we'll do my exercise, which is a sustainable futures Prism, for about 20 minutes. We'll kind of see how things go and how the groups are. And then Carlo is going to talk to us a little bit about generational thinking, and then we'll do the PICO exercise, which Carlo will explain. And then we'll have one person from each group present. Okay, so to get started, let me introduce myself. So I'm from Maui originally. I'm Hapa, that's why Carlo and I are basically cousins. I originally graduated from UC Berkeley and went into law, and then I realized that law was not for me. And then I switched to being a product designer. So I've worked in tech for almost a decade now. And during COVID, I actually became founder of my own company, The Craft. I'm currently living in Amsterdam. So if anyone wants to move to Europe or Japan, then talk to me. All right, so what I'm up to right now is I'm running my own company. I'm currently a startup advisor for early stage startups, particularly focused on climate tech. I'm also a principal designer, so that's my background working in tech. I'm also a climate investor in early stage startups, so this is like seed stage, with a group called Climate Insiders out of Berlin. And I've invested in things like photo-driven light catalysis. I've invested in leather made out of mushroom and fungi. So all the things, it's really interesting. And I also have my own podcast. So if you would like to check it out, please do. I talk about all the things that we're going to talk about here today. And I also have my own newsletter, which is called Conscious Technology. So a little bit about my background. The Craft is my company. It's based out of Maui, but I do it remotely. And then Climate Insiders is the investment group. And then when I was working in tech, I worked with companies like Webflow, Zendesk, Y Combinator, and I graduated from UC Berkeley a long time ago. Okay, I'm gonna hand this over to Carlo.
Okay, I'll use this.
Yes.
You want this? Okay.
I can click it for you too.
Hey, I'm Carlo. Born in Hilo, moved to Oahu. Hapa boy, do you guys know the East-West Center over there? Yeah, so my dad is an immigrant from the Philippines. He went over. My mom was in law, specifically immigration law, and that's where they met. So my dad picked a good person. I wanted to be an engineer. That's what I went to UC Berkeley for, and then I found out why build stuff when you can design the stuff that builders build. So I became a designer. And yeah, I run a nonprofit that's all about helping people break into tech. I'll talk more about that later. I have my own product and design agency, and I'm also Tate. I'm now the director of entrepreneurship education at Nalukai. So Tate was actually a team lead at Nalukai back in the day. And then that's what I'm doing now. I've worked for some big companies as a product designer, Shopify, Autodesk, some small startups. I've done a pretty good job there. I also got laid off 3 times, so that's also part of the tech life, I guess. Not sure why I added that in there. And yeah, I went to a bunch of schools a long time ago as well.
Basically Obama.
Yeah.
Him and Obama, same thing. Okay, unless you want to click it.
No, I do not want to click.
Okay, fine. So, okay, why are we here today to talk about sustainability? Who here is interested in sustainability? Okay, great, you're in the right place. So, we live in a society where growth is kind of the be-all, end-all, and if you're not growing, you're failing. And that's particularly true when it comes to businesses and corporations. So businesses are constantly trying to increase their growth rate, and that means that there's an endless pursuit of more profit. So this means that currently in our society, we prioritize profit above people and the planet. If everyone is searching for growth on a planet with finite resources, then we deplete our resources and cross the point of no return. So I want to share with you this, it's the Great Acceleration, which happened particularly between 1950 and the 2000s, where we see skyrocketing in industrial activity. And the reason why this matters is because business growth is actually tied to emissions, and we haven't been able to decouple business growth from emissions fast enough. So fossil fuels have been a key enabler here. Has anyone heard of the planetary boundaries? Okay, cool. So planetary boundaries was created by scientists in Stockholm, Sweden, to assess the limits within which we can operate within before the planet becomes destabilized. So in 2009, we had 7 boundaries assessed and 3 crossed. As you can see, climate change is actually only one of them. So there's a bunch of things, right? It's like air, fresh water, ocean acidification. And if we fast forward to 2023, we've already crossed 6 out of 9 boundaries. So it's not looking too good. The reason this matters is because the more we cross, the more the Earth can't come back into homeostasis. And 2024 last year was the hottest year on record. Did anyone see this in the news? Yeah? Nice. So this is significant because we are actually crossing safe zones now. So in the Paris Climate Agreement, scientists and governments were trying to limit things to below 1.5 Celsius. And now we've actually surpassed that for the first time last year. And while we can think of this as the hottest year on record, we can also think of it as the coolest year in our life, because it's only going to get hotter. Okay, how does this affect us? So we're not Elon Musk, so unfortunately I don't think any of us here are invited to his rocket ship. There's no planet B, and so this means more droughts, fires, tropical storms, crop damage. It means intense wind, heat, and pollution. And in terms of our own life, it means more climate migration and refugees. It means no electricity. On Maui last week, we woke up without electricity for like several hours because of strong winds. And I didn't know what to do with my life, I gotta be honest. There was no internet, I couldn't cook anything. So yeah, less food, poor health, not good. Has anyone been to Lahaina? Cool, okay. So this is Lahaina. I got my PADI license there. It's a beautiful place. And climate change is equitable. It doesn't matter if you live in the global north or the global south. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. It's going to impact everyone. So this is Lahaina after the fires that happened in August of 2023. It was literally decimated. Like the town was gone, and people still have not recovered from the fires. They're literally living in like dirt lots in containers. People have moved off island, so it's had a massive impact on our community. A decade from now, we will see a halt in economic growth, period. So I want to introduce you to this Dutch researcher, Gaia Harrington. I actually have a conversation with her on my podcast, if this interests you and you want to check it out. But in her Harvard thesis, she updated the limits to growth, which was research that was originally done in 1972. And she actually found that those projections were not so far off. So a decade from now, we're gonna see a decline in growth, period. But on the left side, we have the business as usual chart. So you can see that if we continue doing exactly what we're doing now, we're gonna have a skyrocketing in pollution and a decline in food, population, industrial output, and resources. So the chart on the left is obviously not what we're going for. The stabilized world scenario is on the right side, and you can see that if we manage to decenter growth, we preserve our well-being. So pollution, small rise, but in terms of resources, industrial output, population, and food, we don't see the same kind of collapse. So growth with no guardrails is unhealthy, and it's time to look beyond growth that is only tied to profit. Can anyone here tell me the environmental impact of digital design or technology, like when you're using your phone, when you're on the internet? Anyone think that has an environmental impact? Not sure? No answers from Carlo. Okay, so digital always has a physical component. And the reason this is shocking is because even the people building and designing your technology don't know this. So it's not a conversation that really happens at a lot of tech companies. If the internet were a country, it would be the 4th largest polluter. So to give you an idea of what this means in terms of energy consumption, I don't expect anyone here to know like terawatts or what have you, but internet consumes 10% of global electricity. So that's a big amount. The average website is 2 megabytes, but I've even had clients in the climate space that had like a 13 megabyte website because of video, so that was kind of insane. A mid-sized data center consumes 300,000 gallons of water in one day. 30 minutes of streaming is 0.2 kilograms of CO2, and Bitcoin mining in 1 year is 121 terawatts, which is the equivalent of the entire country of Argentina. So that's a lot. And with the rise of Gen AI that happened particularly in 2023, we see a lot of excitement around this. Everyone's using it. These are the startups that tend to get funding now from VCs. But no one's really talking about the environmental impact of Gen AI. Does anyone here use Claude or ChatGPT? Everyone, yeah. Has anyone heard before that it has a big environmental impact? Okay, a few. Next. So these companies, FANG companies, big companies like Google, Microsoft, Meta, what have you, they have a very big environmental impact, and that is only increasing because of AI, because of tools like Gen AI. So AI drove a 48% increase in Google's emissions, and Microsoft saw a 30.9% rise in Scope 3 emissions. So these companies have like publicly disclosed goals that they're supposed to hit, and they're supposed to be decreasing their emissions for their net zero goals. But however, what's actually happening is it's rising, and the reason for this is actually AI and the data centers. So AI requires a massive amount of data centers. There's more and more being built every day, and this impacts, land, it impacts people. The electricity consumption in 2026 from data centers is projected to reach 1,000 terawatts, and that's roughly the equivalent of Japan's total consumption. Okay, so training AI is particularly data intensive, and GPT-3 is estimated to use just under 1,300 megawatt hours of electricity, and this is as much power as consumed by 130 US homes annually, or 1.6 million hours of Netflix. Does anyone here watch Netflix that much? Is it just my mom and her Korean dramas? Okay, there's also a big water component here. So less than 2% of the world's water is fresh water. But a single ChatGPT conversation uses about 50 centiliters of water, which is equivalent to one plastic bottle. So you can think about just one person using ChatGPT all day, how much water that one person alone is consuming. And the reason this is needed is because they need to cool the equipment. And salt water is corrosive, so it has to be fresh water. So we need to start actually asking, is the world better off because your business is in it? And if the world is not better off, then I would argue that your business should not exist. Let's talk about your power here as technologists and business people. So I really like this quote by Peter Senge, who says, "Yesterday's solutions are today's problems." And Peter Senge is a systems thinker. And a lot of these complex problems like climate change are systemic problems. So what we do today is really going to impact future generations, and Carlo will actually get into this a little bit more. When we think about climate change, I think it can be a little bit overwhelming in terms of like, how do we get everyone on board, right, with this? And the truth is, we actually don't have to because of social tipping points. So it only takes 16% of the population to create this tipping point where the rest of society comes along. And that means we only need innovators and early adopters. So how do we start thinking beyond what designers call users, but I guess you could refer to them as customers, and business goals? It's time to prioritize well-being of people and the planet over growth. So one person alone is not going to solve climate change, but one person alone could solve a specific problem. However, what we really need to do is start actually collaborating with each other. Climate change is the biggest challenge of our generation, but it's also the biggest opportunity. So we need to start demanding that businesses reflect our own levels of consciousness. And this can seem like climate change is sometimes a little bit depressing to talk about, but I want to share with you that progress is happening, right? So if we kind of zoom out here, 104 years ago, women had no right to vote. 78 years ago, Japanese Americans like me were in internment camps in the US. 60 years ago, racial segregation was normal in the US. 34 years ago, racial segregation was normal in South Africa with apartheid. And 32 years ago, there was no international agreement on climate. This year, the climate tech industry is projected to hit $1.5 trillion. So when I got started with this, just 2 years ago, thinking about how I want to have an impact on the environment and helping out, I felt like no one was talking about this kind of stuff, and I wasn't sure where to get started. But as I've gotten really involved in investing in these early stage startups and meeting more people in the tech space that are focused on this problem, I've felt like it's just grown immensely. So it's really like exciting to see all the change that's happening. Anything is possible. We're at the forefront of history. Technology is actively changing the world, and we are the biggest advocates for people and the planet. So I want to share this workshop that we're going to do. We're going to get into groups, and we're going to use my Sustainable Futures Prism. The reason that we're doing this is, as I mentioned, at a lot of tech companies, I did research, and not a single designer said that they consider sustainability in their design process for technology. So we want to actually start thinking beyond just customers and business goals into the governance aspect, the environmental aspect, and the social aspect. And I've listed out some examples of what this might touch on. But for today, we're going to think about the company Amazon. Everyone knows Amazon, right? Okay, so we want to brainstorm negative consequences. So what are the negative consequences on the environment, on society, on business, on governance and users? And just to give you an example of what this could look like, because we're going to have you each go to a board and just jot out some ideas. For the environment, data center energy usage in local municipalities. For the social aspect, stealing ideas from smaller businesses. For governance, lobbying government for special interests. For customers, it encourages rapid consumption. So instead of fixing something, we just buy a new one. And for business, a loss of customer trust and loyalty due to business practices. So if we could get into groups of like 3 or 4 people and kind of start brainstorming, we're gonna use these. Do we have stickies for this?
Yeah, they're right there.
Okay, cool.
Can you raise your hand if you're going to do the exercise? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Do you want to do 3, 3, 4?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, 3 groups. So one group, and then, well, we'll do this one in one group here. Okay, so stand up.
All right, everyone.
Stand up, go to one of the boards, and can you go back to the...
Yes.
Yeah, and recreate the prism that
Okay,
Sera
yeah,
had.
so I know that not everyone here is an artist, but hopefully we can all draw a prism. So if you could just kind of sketch out that general shape of the prism, and then you're gonna start putting stickies into each category. Carlo and I will walk around and help you in case you're totally lost or you wanna run something by us, and we'll make sure that everyone is on track.
Good job.
Hey.
Yay!
Hey.
So this is the abbreviated version you do? Or is this like the full version you do?
This is a short one.
A short one.
Okay, let me walk around this. Okay.
How's it? Carlo, how you doing, bro?
2, 3.
What do you do?
Yeah,
What do you study?
I think, how many groups do we have? It's 3, 3, and 4, right?
Okay, this is a good mix for you.
Yeah.
Okay, go there. Go anywhere you want. You guys want
I
to
just put stickies there. I don't know how many we need.
Thank you.
It'll be fun.
Thanks.
It'll be fun.
No pressure.
Oh, total pressure. Yeah, you sketched this prism. Yeah.
Can you draw?
Yeah, 5 categories.
Okay, here's more.
Antonio?
Uh-oh.
So we're supposed to run this.
Yeah, so you draw this out, yeah, and then
Do you guys want to go to that?
we can...
That one with them?
walk through it. So basically you're
Okay, they're
thinking
gonna
about
join
the
you
negative
guys, 'cause,
consequences
yeah.
for each section.
I'll make
So
it bigger.
For environment, for
I'd make it like
example,
bigger.
just
Like I'd make it way
Amazon
bigger
actually really bad
because you're gonna put
for the
stickies on it.
And Amazon has a bunch of data centers to run like AWS and all of its services. So that could be
As
one.
much, yeah.
For social, Amazon puts a lot of local businesses out of business, right? Because they
I'll
can't
get you guys
compete,
more
or
stickies.
they like steal ideas. Is this still on? Let me turn it off.
So
Yeah, does that help?
we're trying to add to it.
Yeah. So just as many ideas,
Cool.
wait,
I'll give you guys more stickies.
as
and
many ideas
pens
as
and
you can
stuff.
come up with. So
And then,
yeah,
yeah,
just keep going until we hit
Label
time.
the.
Okay, and back.
The whole like approach that designers take in
That
their
doesn't have 5
ideation
sides.
process is to
joking,
just
it does.
generate
I'm
as
totally
many ideas as possible.
No.
Yeah, it's confusing. Wait.
So I'll leave that up. So hopefully that's clear.
I would do like put a dot in the
Or is
middle
that more helpful?
and then like draw to
Is
each
it more
side.
helpful to actually see this?
Yeah.
Do you guys need to see that in order to kind of know like what? Oh, okay, cool. Oh, you're so prepared.
And only what? Half the time.
Oh, that sucks. Yeah, and then each
Yeah.
of these quadrants will be the kind.
Okay.
They're good over there.
Perfect. Nice.
And you guys have like 15, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
So you guys have
Shall
time.
we put a timer on?
Yeah.
We'll track time. You don't have to think about it.
And when you have an idea, just write it on the sticky and share it with the group and put it on so everyone knows.
Yeah. And we want to, is this on? We want to encourage you to talk with each other, right? So bounce ideas off each other as you start brainstorming.
Put it on this here, put it on a sticky
And if
here.
you need to Google something, feel free to Google.
Or actually just write it, you can just write it on
We
there,
don't
it's
expect
fine.
you to be experts.
Yep, yeah, and one of these are supposed to help you ideate, but one of these 5 categories. So negative consequences, and put it in the beautiful Prism. Yeah, so
Hey, he can
classic
draw.
stuff. Yeah, he's good. Does this remind you of Nalukai days?
really.
No? Why? Not as fun? Joking.
No.
Yeah? Oh, okay.
Malachi was just.
How we doing?
Oh yeah. I don't know.
Do you
You
need
guys are all.
me to
I mean, I'm
leave?
surprised you're here.
Oh, it's on.
It feels my third day. It's gonna
So
be like.
for each category, I listed just like
Thanks, guys, for
examples of
coming.
what it might be. I also jotted down some ideas. So to get
Okay,
started,
well.
for example, like in the environmental
Yeah,
category,
so I
it could be
was-
carbon emissions from
I lived in San
worldwide
Francisco for
delivery
like
and
5
data
years
centers.
for a bit.
Nice.
And then,
Okay.
And then pandemic.
Are
hit,
you
and
gonna
back
just
and-
write everything down? Because you can also use. Yeah.
And now I work remotely.
Okay, whatever you prefer.
Disposable consumption.
Yeah, that's fine. You can think of raw
So I'm running my
materials like with
nonprofit,
Kindle
and then
and
also
Echo.
I have my own product and design agency.
For the
So most
social
of my clients are
category,
remote,
like
but I basically
working
design
conditions for
websites
people.
and apps.
What
for
about the
different
truck
clients
drivers?
across everywhere.
Things like that. I would definitely write
And the reason I
down.
asked you is because actually you're an engineer, right?
Computer science.
Computer science?
Like-
yeah. Okay. So our next internship or peak
Yeah.
is going to be with
So
Zippies.
working
So
conditions falls right under
9
social.
interns, 3-month
Yeah.
internship.
You
Building
can
some
think
cool
of like
shit
the
for
truck
Zippies.
drivers.
Yeah. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop. I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop. You guys keep going. We could talk store.
Like if you sign up to be a driver for Amazon,
What does diversity mean? I'm sorry.
Wait. These just
Yeah.
marked that. Okay, wait. Water pollution.
Yeah. Okay. Water pollution. Great.
I feel
I'm.
like these are just not that.
Yeah.
it's
I
not
maybe
anybody's
maybe
fault.
this. And you
Yeah,
guys,
so kind
they're
of
just
working
writing it on there. You guys can do that too.
conditions.
If you're having
Oh,
trouble, I like stickies, so I would promote stickies, but maybe the stickies aren't working.
In terms
you can
of
use-
users, you can
yeah,
think
just write it
of,
on the
like,
thing.
Yeah,
But
overconsumption
you,
is
yeah, use-
perfect. So like
use
encouraging
the right
people to
marker.
just buy. And also in terms of shipping times, like the environmental impact.
Yeah,
that
just
that
write it.
has.
Just
You
write
can
it in
think of
there.
Flights to deliver packages.
Subpar stickies.
Let me see. For business, for example,
Are you actually using
I
a pen?
wrote about how the aggressive
that's fine.
expansion
You'll be
affects
able to get
local
it off.
economies. So like,
It's fine. No, you're fine.
how
You're
does
fine. You're
Amazon
fine.
impact local Hawaii businesses? You know, what's the impact
Disposal
of that?
consumption, plastic packaging. Yeah. Yeah,
You
I
can
agree.
think of like small businesses, like it's
Yeah.
much harder to get started now because of Amazon.
Well, you can copy
Lobbying the
theirs too.
government,
User.
governance.
Like, what are like negative consequences that are like? There's a mental shift in the way people, users, think about purchasing stuff. In my mind, what's one?
like
Yeah.
if they sold their creative rights to Amazon.
Okay, creative rights is a great one. Yeah, creative rights
Yeah.
could fall
Or-
almost more
or
under.
like-
Yeah, it's like kind of intellectual property for artists.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that affects the environment, but you can take that
yeah,
loosely.
maybe
so
that
for me,
falls
it's just
more
like
under business. So the S is for
people buying
like
more
the
shit
social
because it's
aspect or
accessible,
society.
right? Like instead of going to a store, you can now
And
just like buy
so
whatever you want.
governance might be
Now,
a little
like,
bit
you can outsource
confusing.
stuff,
So in
so,
terms
like,
of that,
cheaper
you can think
margins,
of
but now
like
you're outsourcing
how
it
Amazon
from, like,
lobbies the
places like
government
China
to get what it wants.
instead of like
right?
buying local goods.
Yeah, taxes
stuff.
is a good one. Yeah, tax avoidance. So they're in a local economy, but
in
they
there.
don't actually trickle down and benefit the local economy.
That would be under user. It could,
That
I think
kind of
it could be under like user.
Does
It
that
could be under
kinda help to
environment. It
get
could be a
the
social
combo
thing.
started?
That's the thing. Like these
Cool.
are kind of like fluid
Yeah.
sort of categories. Does this make sense? Or are you confused?
It makes sense. I'm just trying to think
Okay.
of more ideas.
Yeah. Good.
Do you have a timer?
No, but I can. You see how people are doing. And work backwards. I don't know where to put my phone though.
Yeah, because my phone is right there.
5:03.
What time are we supposed to end by?
5:45. So I mean, we could.
Do 10, put the timer on for 10 minutes maybe.
Yeah, 5:15.
This is for you next.
Yeah. 5:15. 5:15. 5:25. Yeah. 10 more
works.
minutes. Does that work for you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Do you like the
I'll
pace?
take a photo with my mom. Negative impacts.
Yeah.
So we're thinking about what the negative impacts are.
Yeah. So diversity. That would go deeper into diversity. Lack of diversity because of
Yeah.
XYZ.
Yeah.
So like
All of them are doing negative.
Negative consequences. Yeah, it's all negative.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the idea is if you know the negative outcomes, you start designing to avoid the negative outcomes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So positive is fine. That's cool.
That's
But,
fine too.
yeah,
Just flip it.
we just want to make sure that we're aware of negative outcomes. Yeah.
So
Yeah, perfect. Can also think of like taxes not going to local communities.
the negative impacts that it has on society, like social, businesses, governments, user, and environment.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, and so
How are we doing that?
Shipping. Yep.
with what
Yep.
we're
So
coming up with, you know, in terms of environment, Amazon, because of their large factories, it causes carbon emissions.
你好，
你好吗？谢谢。
为什么？
Dim sum.
We had dim sum today.
Did you? Of course you
We
did.
did, yeah, it was good.
I was in China. I was in China. I went by
Not the
garlic.
same one, though.
Yeah.
'Cause she didn't like that one. She thought it was too early.
Oh, interesting. I told him that we went there, and she's like, "How was it?" And I was like, "I can't." I was like, "Honestly, all dim sum
We just
places."
talked the whole time.
All the dim sum places say the same thing. That's true. Yeah. Where are you guys gonna go tonight?
I don't know. My auntie's not coming because their family's sick. So
Everyone's.
her husband is sick, so she has to go home and take care of the kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know.
This is a great turnout.
Yeah.
I'm gonna get here. Why don't you go in a group and I'll take a picture like a.
Did you like my joke about Korean dramas?
No, not at all. Don't bring me.
Are you struggling with any categories?
well, maybe that one.
User. Okay. Okay, I jotted down some ideas too just to help. So dependencies on quick delivery and bad consumption habits could be one.
Oh,
So when
like
you
as a
expect it to
consumer,
come.
Okay, I see.
Yeah, because it like encourages people to start getting into the mental pattern of like, oh, my
you guys
package
doing?
should come immediately, and I don't really
Good.
care about what else happens in terms of like working conditions, how it affects drivers, like, you know, what it takes to get there to them.
It's like overconsumption.
Yeah, overconsumption.
You get the mail, USPS. So it could be like employee burnout.
What else do I have for users? They have like a one-click button that can encourage like negative buying habits,
No
right?
break.
So it's like,
Yeah.
what are the different tactics that
It's all
Amazon
kind of
uses
fluid,
to
honestly.
design
It
to
could-
make
it could
you
fit in so
think
many different
that
ones
you can
that-
buy something immediately.
It's honestly it's more about like idea generation, the category, so you're not starting from nothing. Yeah. That's an interesting one, actually. Yeah.
Generic innovation or generic?
Cool.
Generic product. Got it. Generic product.
People.
What about taxes? Anyone thought about taxes? Like how Amazon registers abroad in Ireland and then avoids paying taxes anywhere?
Less money.
What was it?
US.
Less money to anyone, really. Like they keep it in the company. Yeah, because they don't pay taxes in Ireland. They avoid paying in the US. Like it's just the strategies that they use to avoid paying taxes.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay, yes. I mean, well, now that you explain it, it makes sense.
Yeah. Check out.
The other, I mean, they're going. I think people are starting to hit a
Wrap
wall.
up.
Yeah, probably.
Okay.
We don't have to. Well, how far do you like pushing people?
I mean, it's nice for people to like
Like suss it out
a
a
little bit. Yeah.
Okay, let's say 5 more minutes so they know.
Okay, cool. You want to announce that?
Yeah,
Just so
that's
people
it.
know.
Yeah, 5 more minutes, everybody. Keep on ideating. This is fun. This reminds me of Nalukai.
Nice. Yeah, it's fun to do it in person because right now I do it remote a lot. Like I just finished my course on Monday.
I would never do
It's
that.
all remote.
I would never do that. Killing you, making money doing remote stuff. That's nice.
It's weird because Maven keeps pushing me to increase my rates, and I'm like, well, I don't really want to because first of all, it's unaffordable, and second of all,
Why
the
would
more
they
expensive
care?
it is, they make 10% of whatever I make.
Gotcha. So it's not like it's not capped.
It's not capped, but it's also like if it's more expensive, it means that it's harder to get people to sign up as well, right?
Yeah, totally.
So I don't know. It's not very accessible.
Yeah, how do you like Maven? Other than that,
I do really like it. Like the team is very nice, and they are clearly trying different strategies to help everyone out. And make the courses better. But yeah, just that aspect in particular, I was like, I don't really want to raise the price.
Yeah, it was kind of, I feel like, once companies try to like scale and like the margin stuff, they start pushing for like kind of,
Yeah. We'll see. I'm going to talk to their team about it.
Do you think that makes you spend more or less?
Usually less.
By shopping online?
Oh yeah, sorry, I kind of connected them.
I'm gonna get water.
Okay.
I'll be back. I don't know where the water is, but.
Carlo.
I have waters.
Oh, they're right there. Oh, thank you.
In a plastic water.
I know, that's fine. That's actually why I wasn't. That's actually why I wasn't gonna. No, you're good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Water filling station around the corner.
Okay, I'll do that.
But now you're wasting.
No, she's gonna reuse it.
How are we doing?
We've come to a slowdown.
Okay, maybe it's time to present then.
Oh, we're presenting?
Yeah, if you could choose one person to just talk about like one idea that really resonated with you guys.
Alright, guys.
Yeah. All right, can we choose one person to present an idea that really resonated with your team? You've been chosen.
I voluntold you, Sonia, sorry.
I feel like from there you kind of make all your decisions, right?
All right, can we choose one person to present? It's super casual. One person to just talk about an idea that really resonated with you, or it could even be something you learned by doing this. Yeah, and then we'll just go around. I think we're ready to,
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, everybody. So if you could, great ideating. If you could take a seat again, we're going to do the second part of the workshop. Yes, we will. So yeah, keep your work stuff where it is.
So we're gonna have one person from each group share.
Oh, sorry, you go. Then you do it.
Oh, you want me to do it?
Yeah,
First,
that's
or-
your exercise,
okay. Okay, people, we ready? So let's start with this group over here, and then we'll just make our way around.
Sorry, we're doing a share out. Yeah, sorry,
Yeah.
go back to your boards. Or actually circle, just pay attention to the board.
If you remember,
Yeah.
then you're welcome to sit,
Yeah.
but if you, All right, so I'm gonna walk over here, and we're gonna have one person just share out their biggest learning or whatever resonated with you the most.
Hey guys, let's pay
Should I
attention.
hand that too?
Alright, so for our group, what resonated with us the most was overconsumption. It seemed to kind of filter into all of the categories. And
Nice.
So, from user, it makes us kind of lazy. We're just like quickly ordering stuff that we don't need. Obviously, with all the packaging that comes with it, it causes there's a lot of waste that goes into all the packages that go into it ecologically. Socially, it also, it causes more work for other people that wouldn't necessarily need to, and so it affects them there. And then oversaturation with the business market, and doesn't really affect governance, I guess. Maybe in some kind of other way, but
but it like touches on a lot of different aspects.
yes, it touches on a lot of different
I think that's what you'll find with this activity too, is like things all kind of tie together, and that's why it's a massive systemic problem, right? It's like, well, if consumers want their package immediately the next day, then these things need to happen. So it's like, how do you also change people's mindsets around the problem, right? Kind of has to go both ways. Thank you so much for sharing. That was great. Awesome. All right, who is next? Have you chosen someone from your team?
Okay. Yeah, so we haven't completely decided specifically what kind of resonated with us, but something that really made everybody kind of think a lot was the taxes. That was brought to your attention. As far as taxes being, I guess a lot of the money going from Amazon to Ireland, and basically meaning that it's taking money away from us and our economy. Also something that I think that bounced around with between us was the monopolization and how it takes away from small businesses.
Awesome, thank you. Yes, tax avoidance, a big one. No trickle down to local economies. I think, yeah, you've been chosen, right, by your team, so.
So yeah, we have similar ideas, like all the other groups. So we put down like overconsumption. We mentioned also overconsumption, greenhouse. Something we wanted to also mention was like efficiency in ethics. Like a lot of groups, they rather have like things done fast or in a certain way, but they don't like have like the law or the ethical values to get things done. They just want to like finish the products that are just be sustainable and not have sustainable practices. So we mentioned efficiency over ethics. And another one we also mentioned was corporate taxes was a big thing. Like you mentioned, like I know like a lot of people, like millionaires or rich people, they move to other places to avoid like the high taxes. And I know Amazon has like issues with those like tax avoidance as well.
Cool. Thank you so much for sharing. Yes. Efficiency over ethics. Yeah.
Give them some love.
A big one. All right. I'm going to pass it to Carlo.
Hey, everybody. Where's that clicker?
I think it's right there.
Thank y'all.
There you go.
Thanks. Okay. So, the second part, this is going to be a little more grounded in Hawaii, in the context of Hawaii. And we're going to reflect on what we talked about in more of a Hawaiian context. So, actually, before I get there, I think what's important to know, like, why we've reached this problem is to know where we are now. And to know where we are now, we have to know where we came from. And so when I was thinking back, so I actually wrote a paper with someone who's a PhD student here at UH in Indigenous Studies and Education. So when we were thinking about, like, how do we reflect in a way that is Hawaii, and we're thinking about where did we come from, she's a lot smarter than me, but this is where she settled, so I'm parroting for her. It's been a place from settler colonialism, right? So what happened in 1893? The Hawaiian Kingdom was illegally overthrown, right? 1898, US annexation. So we come from a place of settlers coming to Hawaii, a lot of them being rich settlers who were interested in sugar plantations. And what happened is they were pushing out indigenous populations, right? So when I say that, we say a loss of land, loss of water, loss of culture, loss of language. And so what happens over the past 200 years when we experience this in Hawaii is there's a ton of negative effects. So it's a lot of the stuff that Sera already went through, right? So like high cost of living, dispossession of land, water, native sovereignty, loss of native Hawaiians. And so we see this stuff in the news all the time, but it's kind of crazy that we've come to a point where there are actually more native Hawaiians living outside of Hawaii than in Hawaii, right? There are 47% of native Hawaiians living in Hawaii, 53% of people living outside of Hawaii. When we think about how we want to live in Hawaii, so both Kanaka and Kama'aina, I'm not native Hawaiian, but I'm first generation Kama'aina, and I want to live in Hawaii, I want my kids to live in Hawaii. So when you think about the high cost of living, 2023, you actually can't see this, but it's up here. What do you think the median salary in Hawaii is? Just throw out a number. Hourly wage. Just throw out a number. Anybody? Tate, throw a number out. Hourly wage? Hourly wage. What's the median hourly wage in Hawaii last year? 28. That's close. $25. It's $25, yeah. So when we look at the minimum wage, it's $14 for an adult with 0 children. So a lot of you are an adult with 0 children, but what this doesn't account for is basic necessities. So MIT did something called the living wage, and the living wage actually looks at the money you need to make in order to meet your basic necessities. And so to meet your basic necessities as an adult, so when you all graduate from UH, you will need to make $27 per hour. I have a kid, so we both work. Both of us need to make $28 per hour. I'm about to have my second kid in March. We both need to make $35 per hour. So what this tells me is that the majority of people who are living in Hawaii don't actually have the means to meet their basic necessities in Hawaii. And so I'm not trying to be like a downer, right? Like I want to live in Hawaii. We all want to live in Hawaii in a way that's sustainable. And so how do we move forward from here? And so the framework, if a framework that we come from is settler colonialism, what is a framework that we can use to move forward? And the framework that we settled on is something called indigenous resurgence. So indigenous resurgence, we didn't make this up. This is actually something. Indigenous resurgence begins with each individual seeking out the wisdom that lives in the stories left to us by our ancestors and figuring out how those messages can guide our actions today for the benefit of future generations. So what I get from this is that, one, it has to start from each individual, each person. And the other part that I get from this is that we actually have to look to the past, we have to look to our ancestors, we have to look to our stories in order to build a better future. So the activity we're going to do today is called the 3 PICO analysis. So who's heard of the 3 PICOs? Okay. You will learn the 3 PICOs, and it'll be something that all of you will know and love. So each of us has 3 PICOs, the PICO E, PICO O, PICO A. So PICO E, that's our crown, the crown of our head. So the crown of our head is what connects our spiritual, every person has some spiritual entity and that connects us to our ancestors. Pico E, Pico O is our navels. That's what connects us to our mother and our family. And then Pico Ma'i is our future generation. So that's our genitals. So that's like total alignment between our ancestors, ourselves, and our future generations. And what's cool about the 3 Picos is that I feel like it's a very Western thought to be like, we always want to build for the future. In this Native Hawaiian framework, it's much more about there's an alignment between everything that happened before you and everything that's about to happen after you. And so when you take like examples in ancient Native Hawaiian history about difference, like one thing is that 3 Picos is a system, right? So the Auai system, does anyone know the Auai system? Ahapua'a, whatever. Okay, we're gonna keep educating. So the Auai system is a system in which water fell into an ahapua'a, and there was a complex water system that diverted water to crops, to streams, to people, and it diverted all the way down into the sea. And you've seen local fish ponds here in Hawaii, the local i'a. Across the Native Hawaiian system, there used to be 500 fish ponds and over 700,000 pounds of fish prior to Western contact. Prior to Western contact, how many people do you think lived in Hawaii? Throw out a number. 400,000. 400,000. A million? A million. Just one more answer. Whatever. It's 800,000 to a million. So at one point pre-Western contact. And what's cool about like the concept of the local i'a, right, is that like we were developing, not we, I'm not Native Hawaiian. Native Hawaiians were developing a system that was actually creating food. But the thing is that we were making coastal lines were actually more productive, they were more healthy by us integrating local ia's into our system. The second thing other than systems that I get from the 3 Picos is a concept called kuleana. What is keep asking questions, but what is the direct translation of kuleana? Does anyone know?
Responsibility.
Responsibility. Yeah, so that's like the direct translation of kuleana typically. And something that we do at Nalukai. So Nalukai is a really cool, you should get involved if you can, social entrepreneurship camp over on the Hawaii Island. Tate was a mentor there. But we teach entrepreneurship in a sense that is grounded in cultural value. So we want to make money, but we also want to reframe what we think by entrepreneurship. And one of the cornerstone things for each person is that kuleana is actually, it's another translation is privilege. So you have the privilege to work on behalf of your community. So when I think of the 3 Picos and how you want to contribute to your community, I think of kuleana, I think of it being a privilege to be able to work for my community, not just like I have this responsibility. So if you thought this was an exercise that kind of expanded your brain, this is a little bit of a weirder one. What we want you to do is, so we asked you to take that one negative consequence that kind of resonated with you the most, or maybe just discuss as a group which one that is. But what I want you to do is I want you to reflect on that negative consequence from the perspective of the 3 Picos. So think about your ancestors, think about yourself, think about your future generations. And so taking an example, I met Alex, who just created this company called Ali Kaleo Park, part of Mana Up. And when I think about his business in which they're building brand sportswear for Hawaii, I was thinking about this example for Amazon, that Amazon is stealing ideas from smaller businesses, and also people have more accessibility to fast fashion, to buying stuff overseas. What was really cool about his company is that he has 3 generations of Aloha wear. His grandparents actually started the original company, Iolani Sportswear, in 1953. Presently, his mother and father, they built a physical store so people could actually connect with their brand in real life. And when we think about future generations, he's kind of seeing this like shift in how the economy works, and he wants to perpetuate his heritage by making more innovative designs. This is actually not true, this is why it's in italics, but I could imagine that he's facing competition from outsourced companies who are copying his designs with margins that he can't compete with because they're outsourcing it in ways that he's not doing by designing and building locally. And so when you think about the 3 Picos, like it can be your own story, it can be 1 degree off someone else's story, or it could just be some historical story that you heard of, but we want you to look at one of your negative consequences from this 3 Pico lens. Did that make sense? Just think really hard. And if it feels like it's really hard and you can't come up with an answer, then think as a group why you think this framework is so hard for you. But yeah, just take 5 minutes to do this as a group. Go back to your boards and write out your reflection of 1 negative consequence using these 3 Picos. Be gone.
So sassy. I think you still need this after.
You can do below.
Do you want that as a souvenir or?
We'll take pictures after, that's why.
Yeah, I want to take a picture with everyone after.
Yeah, so just pick like, what was the one you guys talked about?
Did you want to participate?
The top, like, taxes going up.
Yeah? Okay, because you're welcome to join a group. People are super friendly.
So, yeah, not supporting local. Is there like a local brand? I would think about like local brands that you loved. If any of them kind of gone extinct, what does that mean for the future of Hawaii and perpetuating like shit that we make? That's the first thing
You're an optimistic person. So yes, so the idea is the positive things we don't really need
talk about
to
your
be
own stories,
as
talk about
concerned
other people's
but what
stories,
happens
and
in tech
just write one
companies
of them
that I
down.
talk to and that I collaborate with is that they don't think about negative
heard it after you said
consequences.
it.
So what that means is that the
Then you're like,
negative
oh, okay.
consequences happen because they're not designing
I was like,
for
well,
that
I'm singling him out.
for that potential outcome. So the idea is with this exercise, it's part of the design ideation process where you come up with
What was
some
one
sort
that
of
kinda
hypothesis
resonated
for
with you?
what kind of product you
Or a
want to
few?
create, for
Any?
example. So let's say ChatGPT is the product that you're thinking of creating. Then you want to ideate around what this could look like and what the potential risks are and negative consequences. But that's not happening right now with tech companies. So they're just kind of going like, let's get this out as soon as possible and whatever happens, happens. But they are more driven by the profit of that product and getting it out quickly to the market than what if we negatively impact the environment, or what if we negatively impact people or truck drivers at Amazon.
Or like a business that you've heard of that is affected by this, like it could be a specific person that's been affected.
Yeah.
Okay, go for that. Okay, go.
Is it hard to think about negative consequences?
Keep going. Yeah, these are it can be personal stories, but yeah, keep going. Go with that.
Yeah. Negative consequences of a business like Amazon and the products that they have. So it could be like AWS and the amount of energy that consumes at data centers.
Okay.
Yes, we did. But now we're thinking about the PICO exercise. So it's actually thinking about it generationally. So you'd want to kind of, I think it'd be a little bit harder if you just generally think about Amazon, but if you can pick something specific like creative rights, like for ancestors, like what kind of stuff did they come up with and how was that maybe commercialized if we're thinking of Hawaii in particular, to be sold to the masses. Does that kind of help?
Okay.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
She's been in contact with
immigrants from Afghanistan that is helping her.
Yeah, the whole thing with the PICO exercise is to think about
That is
what we've
okay. So write that down. Like Pico E, like
what
my
they have
mother,
given
like
us,
over 20 years,
because we didn't
jewelry
just kind
owner,
of pop out of
understands
nowhere,
the concept of
like,
living in Hawaii and wants to build ethically. And then the future generation, like,
did you hear that? Yeah.
that's whatever.
We didn't
That's
just
okay.
fall out
I mean,
of
you're
the
connected
so
to
it's
her. Like
what
this,
did
it doesn't
we
have to be from
inherit
like.
our
It's more about like,
parents, our
I'm not
elders, and
native
how are
Hawaiian.
we
All of us
implementing
have to
that
like kind of be
today,
like,
and what does
how do
that
we
mean
connect
for
with
our
Hawaii? But
offspring
it's
and
all about
future
like it's like the
generations?
framework of
It's like if
thinking.
everyone's just
It's not
using
about I'm
ChatGPT
native Hawaiian.
today
I was
and not
born here. I
thinking
wasn't born
about
here.
the
Sorry to be clear about that. Not
Our
trying to
children
like make
might
people
grow
feel
up
like an
in a
outsider.
worse situation
Yeah,
where
but
it's
that
just,
story,
like,
yeah.
fires
I would say write that down.
constantly, like, you know, it's just really hard to
as
live.
she writes that down,
Houses
if
get
anyone
burnt
else
down
is
in
starting
these
to
fires,
like write your own
just the
stories.
acceleration
Like if
of
you
all of
each had a
these
story, that'd be
problems.
amazing. Yeah, her. Do it
Maybe
in the
start with
context
one
of her.
thing. Which one do you want to focus on?
Like 20 plus years. Like literally, the story you said was like the perfect translation of. I've been doing this for 20 plus years. I currently want to before whatever I want to build out in this way, and then future generations is like she could build this out in a way that's super outsourced and not ethical, but she wants to do it in a different way.
Well, but she does. The thing is, though, is that she does outsource.
That's fine.
Things that are like.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's kind of hard.
So like my brother's girlfriend, for example,
and so this is just like a
Hula,
point of
which
reflection.
is
This isn't like a right or wrong answer. Like when you just, as long as you're
elders,
thinking about that and
she
it's like
has
a
to
conscious
perform
thought in
for
your head,
tourists in
that's
a very,
fine.
like for Christmas they wear really like like touristy Christmas outfits, which are not Hawaiian at all, right? So it's that idea, like you're catering to a specific audience because the hotels need to make a profit off of that, right? So it's like that kind of thinking.
Like my cut isn't really ethical.
Sure.
Because, like,
Did I confuse you more?
Okay. Like you can't. It's kind of hard for her to like.
If you're comfortable sharing that, I would share it.
Yeah, think about it. But maybe
things that are maybe
you
unethical that you want to rethink.
Like,
things that are ways that she wants. And she
arrows,
she understands this
you're
and wants to do
starting with just the top level.
So I mean, just write it
we
down.
Inherit in
If you're comfortable with it, if you're
rights.
comfortable sharing it.
Where are we today?
Yeah, it's all about reflection. It's not about like
what comes in the future.
like you're not a bad. Yeah, paraphrase in any way they want.
I mean,
it's
you
basically
can
past, present,
exercise what
future.
you want if that's easier.
Yeah.
But the idea is to think of Amazon,
Do it.
and then you have creative rights for Amazon. So I don't know what that discussion was around Amazon and creative
Does
rights.
anyone else have stories
but
as she writes it down?
That you could use.
It was that.
Can I just like summarize it?
Summarize it. Yeah, it can be like one line. You
Yeah.
can just be like conceptual.
Yeah.
You can talk over it
Publishing, like,
for over
Yeah.
since the 90s. Yeah,
and they both decided to sell their creative rights to
and like jewelry.
to get it published faster. And
So a loss of ownership for the current generation.
versus like
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So if we think of like, for the top level, it could be something like we inherited storytelling
guys
from
after?
our ancestors. For the current generation, we're seeing like a loss of creative rights because people are giving up ownership to their own work through publications and deals and what have you. And for future generations, maybe it's even that
you had to
AI
go
is
to a
writing
physical
books
place in
and
order
people
to
are just not
experience
getting paid
something
for that.
face to face. Yeah.
So this is really a creative exercise that's meant to like get your brain really thinking. So don't worry about it being perfect. Just come up with like as many ideas as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may be wrong, but what I understood about how
Yeah.
tell stories is that
You're gonna be like when you're like talking about a product, you're gonna be like, what do you like? This is what I do. This you're gonna troll Reddit. You're gonna maybe talk to a bot about like different pricing options. Like I do it all the time. I go on ChatGPT and I like look at different pricing options. Like that's kind of might be the future of how we consume. And so this is more of like a social issue of like less social interaction, people being awkward as fuck or something. I don't know. Yeah, this is good, dude. Write it down. I love it. This is good. I love it. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a great example. So it's like thinking about what was it like for previous generations. They told stories orally and passed it down.
This is the first time I did this, so I was like...
So you really had to know it.
It's like, how's this gonna work out?
Do people even read? It's like, so we can have this discussion about generationally what was the cultural impact of certain technologies arising. And, we're not saying that
outsource
we're
ethically,
anti-technology, obviously, because
outsource
we like
ethically,
tech,
grow
but
ethically.
it's like we want to make sure that we're having the right impact on people and the environment with the technology.
Yeah, and like, so I'll talk about this in a bit, but like my nonprofit is all about helping people break into tech. And and it's an internship where I want to pay interns, but a lot of other organizations, they don't pay the interns and sometimes it's so fucked up that sometimes they make interns pay in order to work for companies. And so I told myself for P, because like if I can't find funding to pay interns, I just won't do it.
Sometimes more comfortable.
Like so that was my thing. Like it's like, and I'm not saying that's your mom doesn't have to close your business, but that's for me. Like that was my thing where I was like, I made this principled decision. I was like, I'm gonna find money, and if I can't find money, I'm just gonna close my business.
Yeah. But in reality, we can all do something, like even by having these conversations today, and then you now learn how to use these frameworks, or you talk about it with a friend or something. That's
designers,
already
engineers, or project managers? No? I was like, because I have a paid internship for you. Okay, great.
you'd be busy.
Cute. Love it. Good. You can teach design.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things you invest in.
There you go.
So it'd be nice if that came from like both directions, right?
College
If
was fun.
companies
You can do
already
whatever
kind
you
of
want.
baked it into the product, like something we have in Amsterdam that you guys don't have here is the company will recommend you the most sustainable delivery options. So you can actually choose that as your default.
Did I
It's
have
like
this?
highlighted for you in their design of
It
their
was just
UI.
Brown Berkeley. Yeah, it was just Brown Berkeley.
Someone will
I was like, I don't think I got more
accept that,
education.
for example, as, seriously, as the most
Yeah, it does.
sustainable delivery option, and you don't necessarily have to pay
Yeah,
more
I did
for
undergrad.
that.
I studied
Sometimes it might be like
econ,
$1 or
'cause
$2
honestly, it
more,
was
but
like,
it's not
I actually wanna do
necessarily
religious
more
studies.
expensive. So they'll give you
It was really
options
cool,
that
but
are
my
more
parents were
sustainable,
like,
and you can
you know,
see
immigrant
that in the
Filipino.
interface,
He was like,
and
you're
you just
not.
select that one.
So
So you're like, why wouldn't I,
and
you know?
econ was,
So
you only
it's
had to take
little
10
things like
classes
that
at Brown
that
to
just, like,
graduate.
that companies
So I was just
can do
like,
to
okay,
change the way
I'll take
that people,
econ, yeah.
consumers think.
And there was no prereq, so I could take whatever other class I wanted to. So I just took the
It's been about
course
2
that,
years now.
only 10.
Yeah,
Only had to take 10 classes to
I
graduate.
really like it. It's great. I cycle
Everything was
everywhere.
also pass-fail, so anytime there was a hard class, I took a pass-fail. So I
For that,
well, there's because different
which is
colleges
also
have
something
different
to
theories.
consider,
I like the
right?
theory, which is like if
Like,
you
in the
have the work
US,
to get into the school
society
and you're
is
smart
not
enough to get into
designed
school,
for
and they
people
should
to
just
be
inflate your
healthy,
grades.
and there
Like
are
where they
big health
deflate your
benefits
grades, I'm
to
like,
actually investing
okay.
a lot of money in
I
the
was like,
cycling
inflate your
infrastructure
grades.
because
Anyway.
they see a direct impact with healthcare.
We'll probably start soon,
The
but does
amount
anyone
of money
have
that people
another
lose on healthcare is
story
way less because
that
they're super fit and
resonates?
healthy. So it's like, you know,
It's fine
thinking
if you
about how
don't.
the U.S. designs for cars
I won't
and
make
what
you
the
work harder.
impact that has on people.
Are you guys
So
all
you can
undergrad?
really like pick this stuff apart. But
You're doing grad school?
okay,
In
I'm
what?
gonna leave you so you guys think about it by yourself.
Linguistics. Oh, cool. How about you guys? Yeah. Cool.
And
what?
becoming. So ESG, when I wrote the book.
By the way,
You know it's
what
hard
was
when you
your
can't say it. I'm like,
I think you emailed. Yeah. Okay, great.
was it? Did you say molecular?
Yeah.
Wait, is that what you said?
Yeah, nice to meet
You're
you.
allowed. Oh, okay.
So yeah, I mean,
Dude, cool.
GRI indexes and SASP indexes for ESG, and,
Nice.
but it's kind of becoming now redundant.
Bangladesh.
Companies, big giant
Oh.
corporations, they just
How do you guys
use it
like
as a
Hawaii?
justification.
Yeah.
Carbon offsetting.
Yeah. So what happens right now with sustainability is it's not integrated into the organization. So you have a lot of people who are working for
Yeah, the diversity
sustainability
point
in
is
the
cool.
finance department
Yeah.
because they just want to report on it, right? They're like, let's look
from
like
Seattle,
we're
okay.
doing the right thing and try to do the right thing, I guess, but it's not integrated into the entire thinking of the organization. Yeah, it's very much like you report to financing and let's make sure
Yeah.
the business report looks good, but we don't actually integrate it throughout what we do.
No way. Whoa.
Like there's a lot of people.
That's the word that they keep using.
Yeah.
Diligence.
Dude, yeah.
Guys, I miss. Oh my god, I miss
Human
this
capital
food. Like I had so much
management.
access to such good food.
Yeah.
Yes.
And like my like little.
It's plate
So
lunch
what
here.
did you come up with for Pico?
Don't get me wrong.
But yeah, it's just usually plate lunch.
The
Okay, I'm
issue
gonna
that we were focusing in on was not shopping in person plus
Okay.
social networks.
Yeah. People don't know how to communicate like Carlo over here.
Thanks, shop.
Okay, let's make them talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we actually started over here, but all right. Is everyone ready to present? We're gonna start. on
Different
this
presenter.
side.
Different
Yeah.
presenter.
Different person. We're all friendly here in the club.
So present your negative consequence and then go into the 3 picos.
Okay. I'm gonna
And
pass
tell it like a story. I want to hear it like a story. Yes, I want to hear it as a narrative story.
Who wrote this?
The guy that is using the restroom.
Okay. Oops.
Get it, Tate.
It's all right. You can read.
So the issue that we came up with was not shopping in person and social ineptness for Amazon. And so Pico E, which is Ancestry, this is kind of like our grandparents who were sitting at the dining room table all eating together, always having that conversation. And now it's more like people sitting at a dining room table on their phone and not having the interaction with them. And in the future, this can correlate to more of not having interaction whatsoever, it being completely digital, and maybe even AI in the future.
That's why people want robots.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks
Snaps.
so much. That was really great. Great presentation. Okay, coming over here.
She can do it. It's her story.
Ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
My mom is a jewelry designer, and she's been in business since 1993. Kristen Ford Jewelry with Meaning, if you're interested. She is at the moment like starting to think about retirement, and before like this year she took it pretty easy, but for the next like or 2 years, she wants to really expand her business before she retires. And she's doing that by outsourcing ethically. So she's had many like family friends as contractors that she would send work orders to, like jewelry orders, and they would get paid well, I promise, based off of the amount of jewelry they design. So they get to choose how much jewelry they want for the month that they make, and then if they don't like finish their jewelry, then they're penalized for it, but it's like they are paid per piece. So instead of just having family friends now, she's trying to expand, and she has, I think 2 or 3 women from Afghanistan that are working on getting their visas at the moment, and she's having them do the same thing, but having that extra income is really helpful to them. An issue is that in order, I didn't actually think about this, but in order to actually get more products and get more products, she has to buy it unethically, because it's very difficult. She works with semi-precious stones, so in order to get these stones, she often works with people from Brazil, China, India, Morocco, and she's known these people. They've been business partners for like 30 years, but when she's buying a strand of rubies, it's often, how are these rubies cut? Where are they mined? How are they mined? And if she wants to get more product out there, she's gonna have to, she can't do it herself, so she's gonna have to buy things that were produced unethically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, thank you so much. I really enjoyed that touched on supply chain, because it's a really hard challenge for businesses to track their supply chain and understand, like, you know, from 3 layers back, was this ethically produced, and raw materials. So that was a great one. Coming over here. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. So ours is more like overconsumption, losing authenticity, and environment pollution. Like if I imagine about my grandparents, they would have like certain style, like the clothing they would wear, they would again wear it, and you have embroidery. And if I look at my parents, they have similar style, like tailor-made clothing, more like traditionally families follow certain like ancestral styles and etiquettes. And if I look at my generation, like my life, I just want to import like 50 t-shirts, same. Like I want to have my own logo, but I don't have that tradition I want to follow anymore. Like I don't want to have that same embroidered jacket probably, or certain color. I just want to have my logo and my branding. So I think that's the way generations are changing.
Yes, awesome. Thank you so much. So I'm going to pass this back to Carlo. Great job, everyone. Very impressed. Very impressed.
I think I'm powerful. Am I the next person up?
I think.
I think it's just a Mahalo slide, right? Cool.
That's it.